Hey everybody, I've got big news for you today. My virtual photographers, my eye candy gurus, I'm always aiming for big things and you can't make progress without some change. So as today marks week 19 of the show, next week is a big episode, 5 months. That's huge. And the show is going to see a big change. I'll break this down for you guys at the end of the episode so that you could know what to expect. But I will say this right now, you'll be able to catch the filming of this show live on Fridays from now on. So head over to Twitch, hit that follow button, and tune in so that you don't miss it. Also, I'm giving away a Tumbril Cyclone this month, so if you'd like the chance to win, see the link in the video description. Now, let's get to it. So we've got a lot of shots to get through this week. The first shot this week comes from Lux Tenebrae in one of my favorite ships, the Terrapin. Pretty nice. I like the red lighting, I like the shadows it casts, and I'm really enjoying the tone of the shot. Next up, we have a newcomer, Max Purr, and he's got some gorgeous portraits for us. I love the depth of field in this shot, the red detail on the left side there, and the reflection in the helmet and the eyes is just beautiful, spot on. Another shot from Max Purr, this time of the Carrack floating in Yella's asteroid belt. Another great use of depth of field and fantastic lighting on the ship. It's such a beautiful ship. I know people don't like it that much, but I find it to be a great big ship. Next up is Arrow Boy in, I believe, the Archimedes. This ship just got a new paint job, but that's not what I'm looking at. The whole style of the ship is so beautiful, and this shot is very simple, just a very close-cut shot of the ship. It's fantastic. Another shot from Arrow Boy, this time of the moon Yella, at a relatively far distance. I really like the lighting on the moon in this one, especially the different shades of blue that you get as the moon gets darker. Finally, Arrow Boy finishes up with another shot of the Archimedes. This time it's an action shot, which is what we did last week, but I'll never say no to a good combat shot. Very beautiful, simple shot of the ship, and I really like that he was able to capture the lasers in mid-flight. Next up, ATC Forgiven gives us a shot of the Drake Cutlass. Looks like the Cutlass Red, with its emergency lighting active, and a nice sunset on the horizon. Very great macro shot of the ship to show the details and the sort of cluttered style of the Drake design language. After that, we have Burrs with a shot of a freelancer coming up out of orbit over Hurston, maybe. Another very simple shot of a ship, great framing and a nice focus on the running lights on the dark side of the ship. Captain Raoul gives us a couple shots of the Gladius here. First, with it landing on Microtech. He really got the perfect angle of the ship to get that cinematic sort of feel, the landing that you'd get with a spaceship coming in. It looks great. All that's missing really is the dust billowing from the ground, but I mean, that's no hate on the photographer. He framed this shot perfectly. The second shot of the Gladius from Captain Raoul has it flying some maneuvers at a high altitude. I like the colors here, and I like that I can see the pilot. This has a really intimate feel to the picture of a ship, which normally doesn't get that sort of a tone. Newcomer Chef Rob drops us a shot of a caterpillar coming in for a landing on a moon. Of course, you know, you got a sunset, you got to include it, right? This is a great shot of the caterpillar, and I really like the feeling of a lone outpost that I get from this shot. Another newcomer, Dr. Cater, gives this toned down look of this awesome armor set. I really like the desaturation of this picture and the simplicity. The lighting is also very well placed. This week, Good Punk gives us a rather annoyed look. I like the eye placement here. It says so much of the facial expression. Even though there's not that much in motion, I just get so much from this shot, and that's what I really love about this picture. Another shot from Good Punk as I guess them and their friends revel in joy at the destruction of this ship. I'm not sure what's going on here, but it's a it's an interesting shot, and I like what I'm seeing. It gives me a sense of meh. A shot this week from Ibra Citizen of the Carrack rising up from the depths. Lots of smoke here. The lighting's really cool with the way that it gradients across the smoke, and obviously the ship looks very epic. I love that I can actually see the people standing on the ship as well. Gives a good sense of scale, shows how big the ship is. Great wide shot. And another from Ibra, this time of a nomad, or what looks like maybe a bounty hunter, on the desert moon of Daymar. Again, the depth of field adds a lot of layers to this shot, and I just like the macro focus on the helmet so you can see all of the details while still getting a good sense of scale from the ship in the background. Ermdahl apparently spent plenty of time with Pico the Penguin this week. Here we've got one shot of it floating over a moon and looking quite abandoned. I'm sorry, Pico. I don't know where he left you, but I'm sorry to see that. It's a great shot though. Simplistic, good lighting, great framing. And a second shot looks like this was before the abandonment, as Ermdahl hangs out with Pico in the back of his Pisces. They look really lonely there, but we already know how this story ends. Don't turn your back on this guy, Pico. Merlin Magus this week gives us a shot of the Defender, with a really cool placement of the sun right in the middle of the arms. It's kind of epic. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but it looks really cool, like it's harnessing the power of the star. Mr. Hazgaha with a dark blue shot of the Gladius, ready to lift off. This is a very epic shot of the Gladius. It's rather dark in tone, but the lighting and the shadows cast really cement that feel. And the depth of field obviously leaves your focus on the ship. I like this one a lot. And another one from Mr. Hazga, this time of the Mustang coming in for a landing, although it's still pretty far away from the surface. This one is especially cool because of the framing, the lighting, and also the details on the moon over there in the background on the light side. And then the thrusters are going full blast, and boy do they look good. That's kind of the focal point of the picture for me, and I really enjoy the overall composition. Newcomer Nikita grabs this shot from the inside of the Cartu-All. Really awesome framing here. The placement, I mean, there are just so many aspects to this picture to focus on. You got the character, the complex geometry of the ship, you got the planet in the background, the moon right next to it, and then the space station, which, you know, what's going on with that? This is just such a masterful placement of all these different items coming into one frame. Another shot from Nikita, this one bathed in red. A really cool armor set, but honestly, I just love the interior of this ship. Seeing that geometry in the background kind of defocused, it piques your interest in what it is that this character is standing in. And it's just well framed overall too. The lighting is great as well. And finally from Nikita, another shot from the Cartu-All, this time with a moon taking up the entirety of the background. But boy oh boy, the lighting on that moon really makes it, doesn't it? You got light fading to dark. You've got the pilot who's got a lot of detail, and then of course that geometry of the ship once again steals the show. Overall, great placement, great framing, great composition. Phoenix Lucror this week shows us what it means to get your tail handed to you, or maybe just taken away. I really like that this shot shows some of the damage state that you can see in Star Citizen, even though it's not fully in the game yet. This gives a really cool look at the inside of the ship, but maybe not the way you would want to see the inside of the ship. Red Solstice. Ooh, with this red rain, really. The lighting in this shot is really cool. The background's red, but the character has white light on it, and then the darkness just adds a lot of depth. Overall, really great shot. Lighting and the colors are absolutely fantastic here. And this one from Red Solstice, I don't know what was happening here, but from the look on the character's face and the ship in the background firing, I can get a pretty good idea. This is a really cool action shot, like a really cool action shot. And the fact that you can get the character to have this sort of facial expression is something you can't do in many games. Awesome of the photographer to take advantage of that. And another from Red Solstice, this time a much closer up shot. And you get a lot of detail on this helmet. You can tell how thrown together it is and haphazard, but also the lighting in the background reflects with the lighting that's shown on the player's face. And that depth of field adds a little bit of mystery to the background. Ooh, the Space Coder showing off an arsenal. It's not easy to get this many guns sitting right next to each other like this in such a nice photogenic manner. They don't usually pose for pictures like this, so a lot of respect. Apparently somebody likes Castec arms. This is a really cool shot though. Not even just the weapons, but the ground that they're lying on has so much detail, and there's so many different sort of textures in this picture. Really nice. Another from the Space Coder, this time with kind of bounty hunter vibes. I get a strong feeling of the Mandalorian here, and I like it. The rifle looks really cool. The player seems to, well, be rather distracted. Overall, a good picture. And finally from the Space Coder, another combat shot, getting ready to snipe somebody, and hopefully end them quickly. Very cool shot with a defocus of the background, and a nice focus on the weapon. Verpin, this week, gives one of the best shots of a Starfarer under duress I've ever seen. The thrusters are absolutely livid right now, and I haven't really seen that before. It's really cool. I hope this is what we see in atmosphere from the ship. Newcomer, Zentrify, looks like, well, the old guys sitting at the counter with all of those millennials on their phones. No, but this is a cool shot with the defocus of the characters in the background as well as the farther walls away, and I get a very cozy sense of, you know, chilling at the bar in this shot. I like this. Another one from Zentrify with a lot of play in the colors here, reds and blues. Looks very Anvil-esque, and I think from the hexagonal shapes, I would say probably the Carrack. Very cool kind of epic shot with some solid lighting. Another from Zentrify with more play on the lighting. Very cool red theme here, and the shapes of the hallway really tune your focus in on the character. And finally from Zentrify, what looks to be a, I don't know, very cyberpunk looking kind of getup. I mean, cyberpunk or just far future. I'm not sure how stylish this is in the 2900s, but I guess it works. Looks really cool, and honestly the lighting and the whole setup, the framing, also it makes for a great photograph. So this was a pretty long episode with a lot of shots, but we've got a little longer to go. Let me explain to you how this show is going to change starting this week, and you guys tell me what you think in the comments. While this makes for a great weekly YouTube show, I think there's a lot of potential for this to be a live show. And apparently many of you, well, okay, like 5 of you agree. So the next episode will be airing live on my Twitch channel this Friday, and will then be edited down for YouTube consumption on Sunday. That's right, that means all of you will finally see what I look like. This also means more genuine reactions from myself, and eventually, I'll be having some special guests on the show to help judge and show off their own stuff. You'll see the Twitch pop up on the screen right now and a link in the video description below, so you can go ahead and check me out on Twitch, hit that follow button, and tune in on Friday. So this week was a test trial. Everything you heard was recorded live, first take, but the video was formatted the same. Next week will be the first implementation of the live show, but there will be a lot of changes early on as I feel out the best way to go about this. But I think it's going to be great, and as more funding is available, the show will expand, and I'll be having more guests showing up and maybe some weekly competitions with prizes that you can win. And we will be expanding to more games to eventually encompass the entirety of virtual photography if I feel it's catching on. Red Dead Redemption, Control, Horizon Zero Dawn, Spider-Man, Death Stranding, there are a ton of games that encourage this hobby. So let's show the world. Who knows? Maybe this could end up being a major production, and I'm excited to see what we can do with it. But I'll always remember all of you OGs with me here right now. So let me know what you think of this change and if you have any suggestions moving forward. And thanks for sticking around until the end. I hope to see you next week. And of course, a big thanks to my top supporters, the Alpaca, TK, and Patrick Burt.